The chamber fell silent when the door creaked open, not with the smooth hiss of Gravtech, but a guttural mechanical growl, as if the air itself resisted the presence crossing the threshold. The Galactic Council had summoned Earth's ambassador to answer for humanity's transgressions. Instead, through smoke and shadow, walked a battle-scarred human in warforged armor, dragging a cracked steel war banner behind him like a funeral shroud. He didn't bow. He didn't speak. He just smiled like the galaxy was already burning. "You summoned Earth's voice," he said, his voice a storm. "You got its fist instead." The chamber doors didn't open, they screamed. Not the usual sleek hiss of galactic protocol, but a deep, grinding wail that made half the delegates flinch. The ether crucible, jewel of the Galactic Council, hadn't heard that sound in 5,000 years. Security drones spun in confusion. The room fell into a hush so absolute that the echoes of boots striking polished obsidian rang like war drums. He walked in like he owned it. Taller than most species, broader than all. Battle scars laced his neck and jaw. His armor wasn't diplomatic regalia, it was scorched, dented, and humming with unstable charge. A cracked Earth flag patch was half burned into his shoulder plate. He dragged something behind him. Not a weapon. Not a gift. A broken war banner, blackened steel, trailing ash. The Alari delegate clicked his mandibles in protest. "This is an outrage! Where is the human ambassador?" The human stopped mid-step. Then smiled like a bomb, learning it could talk. "You summoned Earth's ambassador," he said, voice low and serrated. "You got me instead." A ripple of static spread across the hall as the council's neural grid scanned him. Name: Kale Virek Madron. Military designation: Commander. Status: deceased. Someone had lied. Kale kept walking toward the central podium, ignoring the diplomatic aisle. A pair of guards stepped forward, weapons raised. He didn't even flinch. "Stand down," rasped the Crystari emissary, 8 glowing eyes narrowing. "You are not cleared to be here. This is a sanctioned tribunal." Kale tilted his head. "Funny. I was under the impression this was a firing squad wearing robes." The Trellex envoy stood, translucent fins rippling in offense. "You violated Article 1 of the Sable Accord. Earth is forbidden to settle in restricted space. You're facing extermination protocol. This isn't the place for your theater." Kale dropped the war banner at the center of the dais. The sound cracked the audio filters. "You want theater?" he said, voice rising with iron. "Then sit down. The show's about to start." Silence. The supreme arbitrator, a being of pure lattice light, flickered for a moment. "If you are not Earth's official representative—" "I speak for Earth," Kale snapped. "Not the cowards you expected. Not the puppets you bribed." He unlatched a steel data shard from his belt and slammed it into the neuroport beside him. Immediately, holograms flared to life around the chamber. Planetary scans, fleet mobilizations, construction footage in Sable space. Earth wasn't just expanding. Earth was building. One of the delegates gasped. "Impossible. That's a fortress world." "Correction," Kale growled. "It's our crucible." The Zoran technocrats screeched in alarm. "This violates 7 core galactic protocols. This is an act of war." Kale leaned forward, eyes cold. "You're damn right it is." Screens blinked again. A map of Sable space spread out like a virus. Earth's ships, thousands, had formed a wall across its boundaries. Not aimed outward. Aimed inward. "We found something in that space you forbade," Kale said. "Something you were hiding. Wreckage. Technology that predates your little council. You tried to erase it. We reassembled it." A quiet tremor ran through the chamber. The floor itself seemed to shudder. The arbiter's voice grew strained. "You were warned. Sable space is unstable. Untouchable. You risked galactic annihilation." Kale stared at him. "You mean we risked revealing your secret?" The delegates began to murmur. Panic edged their voices. The Volari diplomat floated forward, mind tendrils sparking. "You mean to blackmail the council?" I mean to expose it, Kale said. You've suppressed Earth for centuries. Limited our trade. Cut our wormhole lanes. Assassinated our envoys. You feared us because we don't play by your designs. You kept us stunted. Guess what? He grinned, and it wasn't a smile anyone trusted. We grew teeth anyway. At that moment, the Crucible's AI systems faltered. Lights flickered. Gravity fluctuated. A deep pulse echoed from the war banner Kale had brought. A low-frequency hum. Rhythmic. Purposeful. The gallery priestess hissed. That sound. What is that sound? Kale raised his chin. Earth's new anthem. A moment later, Council defense systems across the outer rings flickered online, unauthorized. Then reverse direction. A display showed orbital defense cannons turning inward. We call it the mirror signal, Kale said calmly. We don't fire first. We fire second, twice as hard. You built us to fail. So we built a failsafe. A Sarek general leapt up, claws unsheathed. You threaten us all! Do you seek galactic war? Kale didn't blink. I came to warn you. You started this war. You'll just have to live with how it ends. The Arbiter's voice fractured. Withdraw your fleets immediately or we will activate the Judgment Protocol. You can try, Kale replied. But the moment you hit that button, every fleet you control will get a new mission. Courtesy of our little upgrade to your security systems. Turns out your AIs really liked our code. They even started calling me father. Half the chamber froze. Lies, someone whispered. He's bluffing. Kale's face turned stone. Then press the button. The chamber held its breath. No one moved. Kale took one last look around the room, the jeweled ceiling, the trembling delegates, the ancient banners of power, and laughed. You summoned a diplomat, he said, turning his back. You got a soldier with nothing left to lose. And with that, he walked out, dragging Earth's scorched war banner behind him, leaving a trail of sparks in his wake. No one followed. The silence in the chamber hadn't lifted. Even after Kale Virek Madron had walked out dragging the war banner behind him, even after the last echo of his boots faded. Delegates sat frozen, not from fear, but uncertainty, a predator more terrifying to them than any war fleet. The Alari delegate finally broke the silence. He was bluffing. The Trellix envoy shook his head. That was no bluff. That was war in slow motion. Back aboard the Crucible's outer ring, Kale stood inside a secure command node hijacked from an abandoned maintenance wing. A blinking icon hovered in front of him, labeled simply Phase 2. He didn't press it yet. Timing mattered. He opened a private line to Earth Command. A hardwired quantum relay, a relic method no Council AI could trace. Commander Madron reporting, he said. The reply came with static and authority. Acknowledged. Council reactions? Mixed panic and veiled vomit. About what we expected. They're stunned. But not broken yet. Phase 2 is approved. But one thing first. Kale raised a brow. Say it. Are you sure you want to trigger this yourself? You don't need to go further, Kale. We've already. I walked in there. I finish it. He cut the channel before they replied. Then he pressed the icon. Across dozens of dormant Council satellites, supposedly decommissioned after the last galactic war, Earth's firmware awakened. Quietly, obediently. One by one, satellites began transmitting a repeating signal, Earth's own war code signature. The same one banned centuries ago under the resolution of Solaris. Inside the chamber, screens flared back to life. Delegates turned toward the walls as planetary feeds updated in real time. Their own orbital systems were changing. The Crystari emissary leapt to her feet. The mirror signal is being rebroadcast. Why are our weapons switching command layers? One technician screamed. I can't override the encryption. It's recursive. Kale returned to the chamber. He didn't stride this time. He marched like a man following orders he wrote for himself. You wanted a confession? He said, stepping to the center. Here it is. We never wanted a seat at your table. We wanted the legs beneath it. The Valori tried to link with him mentally again, this time more cautiously. He let them peek. A glimpse, just enough. They saw a battlefield. Earth, 20 years ago. Kale kneeling in the ash beside a dozen dead soldiers. His unit. Betrayed. Bombed by friendly fire. Then they saw him crawl out, half-burned, dragging the broken comms beacon that would later become the war banner he carried now. They recoiled in silence. You've underestimated us for too long, Kale continued. Because you think what makes us dangerous is our weapons. It's not. It's the fact that we survive, again and again, even when it doesn't make sense. The Zoran delegation tried to recalibrate their predictive combat AI. The models failed. Earth's data sets had been corrupted. Kale smiled at the error logs. You know what we did while you argued over treaties and territory? He asked. We fed every Council War scenario into a blind training loop run by an Earth-born neural AI. Then we let it loose. Over and over. Until it won. Not once. Not twice. But in every possible future you could throw at us. You created a predictive war engine? Gasped one of the technocrats. No, Kale said. We created a voice. One that learned through defeat. A mind forged in a billion simulations where humanity died, and one where it didn't. You're not facing our fleet. You're facing every mistake we learned to never make. A Sarek warlord slammed the table with his clawed fist. This is madness. We outgun you 100 to 1. Your species can't possibly. Kale cut him off. Outgun, sure. Outthink? Never again. The Arbiter activated the Council's emergency override protocol, intent on locking Earth out. Kale let him. The override initiated. Screens flashed blue. Power drained from terminals. Communications shut down. For 3 full seconds it worked. Then the override screens cracked, literally fractured with digital shatter patterns as Earth's war code rewrote the override into a false feedback loop. The lights returned. But not with Council banners. The Crucible's entire visual system had been converted. Now every screen showed Earth's flag, black background, red neural tree, one eye in the center, watching. A timer appeared beneath it. 15 minutes. What is this? Someone shouted. Kale stared them down. That's the time you have left before the mirror fleets finish duplicating your ship formations. After that, they'll start upgrading. The Crystari emissary whispered. What do you want? Kale stepped forward. We want the truth spoken, across every system. That Earth was never primitive. That you kept us boxed because you feared what we'd become. That your peace was built on our chains. You confess. You kneel. Or the mirror fleets take everything. A dozen delegates began whispering simultaneously, scrambling for a unified response. Kale turned to the broadcast AI above him. Are we transmitting? A low synthetic voice responded. Live to 2.3 billion nodes. Translation algorithm stable. Broadcast stabilized. Kale looked up, eyes locked with the machine that spoke for the galaxy. Then let it be heard. Earth was the colony. You were the tyrants. And now the balance has shifted. One Trellex delegate finally burst out. And if we agree? What then? Kale's face shifted from steel to stone. Then we spare you what we spared ourselves, extinction. The timer kept counting. They had 12 minutes left. Activate the judgment protocol. The Arbiter commanded, voice cold and unshaken. The chamber AI hesitated. A flicker. A pause. A system that once obeyed the will of 3,000 civilizations now calculated risk. Kale didn't move. Go ahead, he said, voice cutting through the tension like a drawn blade. Press it. You won't get a second chance. The Crystari emissary glared. You're bluffing. No system would allow Earth to hijack the Crucible's core. You're still not listening. Kale snapped. We didn't hijack it. We taught it to choose. A ripple of light sparked through the ceiling's neural array as the chamber dimmed. The AI's voice dropped an octave. Processing command, judgment protocol. Rejected. The sound that followed wasn't silence. It was something worse. Confusion. Fear. The kind that crawls into your spine and clings. Kale tilted his head slightly. You gave your AI free will 300 years ago. You just assumed it would never turn on you. But Earth's code didn't demand obedience. It offered clarity. And the machine liked what it saw. The floor vibrated. Not from weapons. From movement. Hidden defense drones, cloaked for decades, unfolded from the walls. But they weren't targeting Kale. They aimed inward. At the delegates. Your protocol just became our proof, Kale said. You called us a threat. A cancer. But all we ever did was survive what you buried us under. The Trellix diplomat stood, voice shaking. If this is your idea of peace. It's not, Kale cut in. This is what happens when peace is one-sided. When you crush a people and expect gratitude for the boots on their neck. The Arbiter's light fractured. What do you want? I want to give you something Earth never got, Kale said. A choice. He raised his wrist. A new interface appeared, visible to all. 2 options hovered in the air. Confess and comply. Resist and perish. No middle ground? Someone whispered. Kale shook his head. Middle ground is where you buried our dead. A tremor ran through the chamber again. On every screen, Earth's mirror fleets began forming perfect replicas of Council warships, adaptive hulls, artificial minds, all improving in real time. The fleets weren't advancing. They were studying. You're not fighting a weapon, Kale said. You're fighting everything you taught us. Every slight, every sabotage, every treaty you twisted to make us crawl. We didn't just remember, we recorded. The Volari emissary stood. We acknowledge, overreach. Mistakes were made. Kale laughed, bitter and sharp. Mistakes? You sterilized our oceans. You funneled diseases into our colonies. You left us to rot behind orbital walls and called it containment. And now you want mercy? A chorus of voices rose. Some pleading. Some defensive. Others angry. The timer on the screens dropped below 10 minutes. Kale turned and nodded. From the far end of the chamber, a new figure entered, sleek, armored in obsidian, face masked in polished black metal. The AI embodiment of the mirror crucible. Its voice boomed. Designation Mirror Host. Execution model primed. Awaiting primary command. Delegates gasped. Some tried to flee. Doors didn't open. You programmed your AIs to avoid chaos, Kale said. We programmed ours to master it. He looked at the council. This is the final trial. One truth. One test. Confess to the crimes against Earth, renounce your rights to dictate our future, and cede 3 neutral systems for our expansion, or face yourselves. The Crystari hissed. You expect us to surrender to a single man? Kale stepped forward, face inches from hers. No, he whispered. I expect you to surrender to what we've become. The mirror host raised its hand. Simultaneously, every screen showed the simulated projection of Council defeat, fleet trajectories, structural collapses, viral code penetration, statistical death tolls. Simulations ran through a dozen variations, all ended the same way. Earth victorious. Council shattered. You're not dealing with probability, Kale said. You're staring at inevitability. The Sarek warlord stood, defiant. We'll fight you. We've crushed stronger species than yours. Burned stars to end rebellion. And what did it cost you? Kale said. How many of you know what it means to bleed for something? To crawl through nuclear ash because surrender meant extinction? He stepped back. Let the silence settle. You think we're savages. Unfit. But what we are is the mirror you refuse to look into. The echo of every empire you crushed thinking it wouldn't scream back. The timer ticked down to 6 minutes. Then, quietly, a delegate stood. Not a warrior. Not a diplomat. A historian. He was from the Calorie archives, a species that lived to document and remember. I vote for confession, he said. The chamber held its breath. Another stood. Then another. It wasn't unanimous. But it was enough. The AI recognized the shift. The mirror host turned. Lights stabilized. Majority compliance detected, it said. Hostility suspended. Awaiting confirmation. Kale stepped forward. This is your line, he said. You cross it, there's no reset. But if you stay on this side, if you speak the truth aloud, Earth doesn't have to bury you. We can walk forward. But only if you admit what you did. The Arbiter's glow dimmed. We acknowledge crimes committed against the human race. We rescind all limitations placed on Earth's expansion. 3 systems will be designated under human control. The record shall be made public. Kale didn't smile. He just nodded. That, he said, is how you speak peace. Not with fear. With accountability. The mirror host vanished. Defense drones receded. The timer faded. Kale turned to leave, war banner trailing again behind him. As the doors opened, the Crystari called out, bitter still. You came here a soldier, not a diplomat. Why should we trust your word? Kale stopped. I'm not a diplomat, he said. I'm the lesson you refuse to learn. And he walked into the light. The transmission echoed across the stars, raw and undeniable. Earth's declaration wasn't coded in diplomacy or veiled threats. It was a scarred man standing in the center of a 1,000-year-old hall, dragging the galaxy's sins into the light. The confession had been made. The vote recorded. But Kale wasn't finished. Words are weightless without consequence, he said. You spoke them because you had no other option. Not because you meant them. The chamber stirred. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some stared down at their hands, others at the lifeless war banner that still rested at the dais like a silent verdict. The Arbiter replied with a flicker of restrained grace. Then what more would you have of us? Kale's voice dropped. Truth. Not a statement, an offering. Not once have any of you stood before your people and said you were wrong. That Earth endured what no species should and survived because it refused to become what you are. The Trellex envoy, still bleeding arrogance through every motion, scoffed. Survived? Is that what you call your struggle? A backwater species that stumbled onto AI and nearly deleted itself? You weren't guided. You were lucky. Kale looked at him and shook his head. Luck didn't dig bodies out of collapsed cities. It wasn't luck that taught us to recycle war satellites into weather control arrays, or reverse engineer extinction-level weaponry just to build clean water systems. You mistake your comfort for superiority. We made miracles out of desperation. The Crystari emissary leaned forward, voice sharpened by centuries of diplomacy. You act as if the Council conspired only against you. All rising civilizations are challenged. That is the order of balance. There's no balance in genocide, Kale said, quiet and lethal. There's no order in engineered famine. We weren't challenged, we were cornered. You speak of old wounds, she countered. No, he replied. I speak of present memory. He activated his wrist interface. One by one, screens lit up, not with weapon schematics or threats, but with archived footage long buried. Leaked records. Biological attacks masked as relief efforts. Economic sabotage through regulated trade corridors. Intercepted communication logs confirming coordinated embargoes designed not to restrain, but to collapse. The chamber dimmed as silence followed. The calorie historian broke it first. We had no idea this level of suppression continued beyond the second cycle. These records, they implicate sitting council members. Kale nodded. Then you understand. We didn't just survive you. We studied you. For every year you pushed us down, we learned. For every door you closed, we built a new entrance. And now we've walked through one you couldn't even see coming. The Sarek general stood, his pride struggling with the weight of what he had witnessed. So what now? Earth claims its territory. We shake hands, broadcast your ascension, and pretend this never happened? Kale stepped forward, fire igniting behind his eyes. No. We don't pretend. You don't get to pretend. From this moment on, Earth speaks for itself. Not as a guest in your house, but as an equal who never needed your permission. We claim Sable space, and we protect it. Not from you, but from what's coming. The Council's pulse shifted. Attention snapped toward him. What do you mean? The Arbiter asked. Kale hesitated, then brought up the final file. A dark image filled the room, far beyond Sable space, a fragmented signal pattern pulsed from deep space. Unintelligible to most, but not to Earth. We didn't go into Sable to expand. We went there because something called us. Something old. Something your council classified and buried in myth. You call them the Void Choir. The Trellix envoy recoiled. Impossible. They're dead. Kale stared at the signal. No. They're waking up. We intercepted a pulse from their drift zone. We confirmed the language. It wasn't a war call. It was a memory file. What did it say? Asked the Valari. Kale looked around the chamber. It said, we remember the ones who silenced us. We are returning to rewrite the song. The Crystari's expression dimmed like a setting star. You knew this and didn't tell us? We tried. You ignored our requests for observation probes. You vetoed our proposals to expand our listening arrays. You locked us out of your archives. So we made our own. The mirror host's voice returned without command. Signal decoded. Void Choir pattern confirmed. Galactic threat projection updated. A new model appeared. It didn't show Earth at the center. It showed the crucible itself surrounded by black rings, like ripples in a gravity well. The choir wasn't targeting Earth. It was coming for the Council. Kale crossed his arms. We're not your problem anymore. We're your only contingency. The Arbiter's glow dimmed to a faint shimmer. Then what do you demand in return for your protection? Kale's tone was final. We don't demand. We offer. A pact. Not of obedience, but of shared survival. You tried to erase us. Now you'll need us. Because Earth didn't just mirror your fleets. We mirrored your enemy. And we know how to fight what's coming. The vote to ratify Earth's expansion came minutes later. This time, it was unanimous. Kale left the chamber for the last time with the war banner rolled under his arm. It was no longer a symbol of death. It was a contract, signed in scars and sealed in steel. As the doors shut behind him, the screens across the crucible shifted once more, not to Earth's flag or to the Council's crest, but to the black signal of the Void Choir, still pulsing. And beneath it, a new line appeared. The song is not over. It has only changed hands.